Hey everybody, welcome to the guided assignment for chapter 22. Just a warning, this one's kind of long. I will try to go through it quickly, but like reasonably, like not so fast that it's impossible to follow. The great thing about recorded assignments though is that you can roll it back and watch it or speed it up or whatever works for your needs. Anyway, so this is we're going to be doing like all of these budgets for this company, the Vang, I don't know how you say it, batting company. They make wooden baseball bats. They have two primary products, a youth bat and an adult bat. They sell the bats to sporting goods stores on account. Youth bats sell for 60, adult bats sell for 75. And okay, so we're going to do the first quarter. That's their high volume quarter. So it gives us some info here. The information we're going to need the most is this more info here. There might be something we need off the balance sheet later. Anyway, so the first thing we have to do is what's called a sales budget. And so that's based on the number of bats we're going to sell and the sales price per unit. So we think we're going to sell 1,300 youth bats and 3,400 adult bats. So that'll be 3,400 plus 1,300, which is 4,700. Our sales price per bat, it told us up here, was $60 for the youth bats and $75 for the adult bats. And then our total sales will just be the number of bats, 1,300, times the price per bat, 60. So 78,000 for the youth bats. And then for the adult bats, 3,400 times 75, 255,000. So our total sales will be 255,000 plus 78,000, or 333,000. So that was easy, but some of them are a little harder, or not as obvious what they want in certain places. So we just have to kind of work through it. So here is our production budget. And I think way back at some point I told you that these type of problems always follow the same pattern. So we're going to start with the things we think we're going to sell, budgeted bats to be sold, plus the number that we want to have in ending inventory. And that's going to give us the total bats that we need. Then we'll subtract out what we have in the beginning inventory, and that will tell us how many we need to produce. Okay, so that's not crazy logic when you think about it, but it's not always easy to get to. So budgeted bats to be sold is right here, 1,300 youth bats and 3,400 adult bats, which is 4,700 total bats. And then it's going to tell us over here, our desired ending finished goods inventory is 500 youth bats and 450 adult bats. So 500 and 450, or 950 total bats in ending inventory. So our total bats needed will just be the number we think we're going to sell plus the amount we want to have. So 1,300 plus 500 is 1,800 total youth bats, and 3,400 plus 450 is 3,850 adult bats. Whoops, I had an extra zero up here, didn't I? 4,700 plus 950 would be what? 5,650 total bats. And then we're going to subtract out the number of bats we have in beginning inventory. It tells us here that our finished goods inventory consists of 650 youth bats at a certain cost of production, which doesn't matter to us right now, but it will later, and 440 adult bats. So 650 plus 440 should be 1,090. And so our budgeted bats we produce are just going to be the needed minus the what we have in beginning inventory. So this should be 1,150. Should probably use my calculator, instead of just do it in my head, and it really increases my chance of making a mistake. Let's see, 4,560. Let's see if I messed it up. I got it. All right, so that is how we do our production budget. So now we know we're gonna do our direct materials budget. So the first thing we start with when we're doing our direct materials budget is how many we expect to produce. And again, we figure that out here on our production budget. So we expect to produce 1,150 of our youth bats and 3,410 of our adult bats for a total of 4,560. And then it's going to tell us here direct materials requirements are 46 ounces of wood per youth bat and 58 ounces per adult bat. So 46 ounces, 46 ounces for youth bat and 58 ounces for an adult bat. And then to find our materials needed, we would just take the number of bats times the amount of wood per bat. So for youth bats, 1,150 bats times 46 ounces per bat, or 52,900 ounces of wood. Sounds like a lot. And then for our adult bats, we have 3,410 bats times 58 ounces per bat for 197,780. And then our direct materials, total direct materials needed will be 197,780 plus 52,900 for a total of 250,680. All right. So now we know how much material we're going to need, plus we're going to add, we need for production, and plus we're going to add the amount that we want to have left over in our ending inventory. Like you always want to have some materials left over so you're not starting the next month with nothing. So we're going to say desired direct materials and ending inventory. Let's see. It will probably tell us something here. Here's our desired ending raw materials inventory is 22,000 ounces. So 22,000. So what we need for our production plus what we want to have left over, that's our total direct materials needed. So 272,680. All right, and then we're going to subtract out what we already had. So this will be direct materials in beginning inventory. And this tells us our raw materials inventory on December 31st consists of 22,000 ounces of wood. So that's interesting. What we desire to have left over is the amount also that we had left over. Maybe that's a normal for them every month. They try to have 22,000 left over. So 272,680 ounces minus the 22,000 is going to mean 250,680 ounces is what we need to purchase. Our cost of wood right here in D is 40 cents per ounce. So our budgeted cost of direct materials is going to be 250,680 ounces times 40 cents an ounce, or $100,272. Let's see if that's right. Fantastic. Thanks, Pearson, for building me up. All right. So now we need to make our direct labor budget. So the first thing we have to do to figure out direct labor is to figure out, again, how many bats we expect to produce. So we did that earlier in our production budget, bats to be produced. So we have, let's see, budgeted bats to be produced was 1,150 for the youth bats and 3,410 for the adult bats, which adds up to 4,560. Yeah, 4,560 total. And then now that we know how many bats we're going to produce, we want to say, well, how much direct labor goes into each bat? So our direct labor hours per unit is going to be told somewhere in here. Each bat requires 0.6 hours of direct labor. So we'll say 0.6. Apparently that's the same whether it's a youth bat or an adult bat. So for our total here, we don't add it up. It's just 60 cents or 0.6 hours. So then our direct labor hours needed for production is just going to be the number of units times the direct labor hours per unit. So for the youth bats, It's 1,150 bats times 0.6 direct labor hours per bat, or 690 direct labor hours. For the adult bats, we're going to have 3,410 times 0.6 labor hours per bat, or 2,046. And then our total is just the 2,046 plus the 690, or 2,736 direct labor hours total needed to produce all of these bats. And then we're going to, now that we know how many hours, we're going to say, well, what's our direct labor cost per hour? And again, it tells us here, direct labor costs average $15 per hour. That's actually pretty cheap. And again, our total will be 15. We're not adding them up because it's just 15 times the direct labor hours. So our budgeted direct labor costs then for the youth bats will be 690 direct labor hours needed times $15 per hour, which is $88.50. And 2,046 for the adult bats times 15, which is 30,690. 30,690 plus 88.50 is our total direct labor costs, $39,540. So what's happening is we start with units, and as we work our way down, we start to get to the cost of those units. So we're going to have 100,272 in direct materials and 39,540 in direct labor. Whoops, looks like I made a mistake. So let me see what I did wrong. Let's see. Our direct labor is $15 per hour, and it's 0.6 direct labor hours. So again, I'll do 1,150 times 0.6 is 690, 3,410 times 0.6 is 2,046. 690 times 15 is 10,350. So I did something weird there. Let me double check that. 690 times 15, 10,350. And let me double check. 2,046 times 15. That is 30,690. So add that to 10,350. It's 41,040. So somewhere I just made an arithmetic error. There we go. All right. So now we're on to our manufacturing overhead budget. Told you this was a long one. I didn't lie to you. And that's because I care. All right. I always tell you the truth. All right. So we're going to start with our budgeted bats to be produced. Interesting how they all start with that, huh? All right. So again, we're going to produce 1,150 youth bats and 3,410 adult bats for a total of 4,560. So now our variable overhead cost per bat. So let's look back over here. So right here, it tells us our variable manufacturing overhead is 40 cents per bat. Again, the total, these variable items like that are, we just carry it over, we don't add it up. So our budgeted variable overhead is just going to be the number of produced times the amount of variable overhead per bat. So 1,150 for the youth bats times 0.4, which is 460. And 3,410 times 0.4, which is 1,364. So 1,364 plus 460 is 1,824 in total variable overhead. Then our fixed overhead is 1,100 for depreciation and 21,700 for other costs. Our total fixed overhead will be 21,700 plus 1,100, 22,800. And so our budgeted manufacturing overhead costs will be our fixed overhead of 22,800 plus our variable of 1,824, 24,624. Our direct labor hours, let's see where we found those, are right here. So 690 for the youth bats and 2046 for the adult bats. And those added up are 2,736. And then our budgeted manufacturing overhead costs are this 24,624. So our predetermined overhead allocation rate is going to equal, divided by 24,624, divided by 2,736, or well, comes out to $9. And that's $9 per direct labor hour, not $9 per bat. That's going to come up later, so remember that. All right, so now we have to do our cost of goods sold budget. So remember, our cost of goods sold is just our direct labor plus our direct materials plus our manufacturing overhead. And this is done per bat, so we're going to have to do a little bit of thinking about that. So our direct labor cost per bat, again, we can look up here and we can look at our direct labor budget. We know that we have 0.6 direct labor hours per unit and that it's $15 per hour. So to find our direct labor cost per bat, I have to take 0.6 hours per bat times $15 per hour is $9. So my direct labor cost per bat is $9. And that was the same for both the youth and the adult bats. Let's see, where was that at? So either way, it was 60 cents, or I mean 0.6 hours times $15 per hour. Our direct materials budget, direct materials per bat. So here it will be different, right? We know that that our bats were, our youth bats took 46 ounces of wood and our cost was 40 cents per ounce. So a youth bat's going to be 46 ounces times 40 cents or $18.40. Our adult bats take 58 ounces times 40 cents, which is $23.20. And our manufacturing overhead cost per bat, again, is based on direct labor hours. And we know that we allocate $9 per direct labor hour. So if we remember up here on our direct labor budget, it takes 0.6 direct labor hours for either the youth bat or the adult bat. So if it's 0.6 direct labor hours times $9 per hour, so 0.6 times 9 is $5.40 manufacturing overhead per bat. All right, so we'll add them up. 9 plus 1840 plus 540, whoops, is 3280 is our cost on the youth bats, and 9 plus 2320 plus 540 is 3760 on the adult bats. Let's see if that's right. Good, so that's our cost. All right, so now it wants us to do our cost of goods sold budget. This was just figuring out our cost per bat. So now that we know our cost per bat, we'll start again with our beginning inventory, and then our bats produced and sold, and then our total budgeted costs of goods sold. So remember that the bats we had in beginning inventory up here, it told us their cost. And so these, for whatever reason, the ones we had in inventory before, they were quite a bit cheaper to produce than the ones we have now. Maybe the cost of wood went up or something, I don't know. So our beginning inventory we had 650 youth bats at $19 each. So the cost of those bats was 650 youth bats times $19 each, or $12,350. And then our adult bats, we had 440 of those bats at $17 each. Interesting, the adult bats cost less, but that's what it says, so I'm going to go with it. 650 times 17. Our total, 11,050 plus 12,350 is 23,400. Now we have to look at our bats produced and sold in the first quarter. We can't just look at the bats produced because we didn't sell all of them, okay? So we're talking about cost of goods sold. So since we're doing first in, first out, we assume that all this beginning inventory sold plus any other bats that we sold. So what we have to do is kind of go back and look at our sales budget. We think we're going to sell 1,300 of these bats, okay? We had 650 in beginning inventory. So for the youth bats, our budget is to sell 1,300, 650 of which were from the beginning inventory. So the ones we're going to produce in this quarter and sell, we think it's going to be 650. And so we're going to produce and sell 650 bats, and our cost per bat for those youth bats is $32.80 that we just figured out. Times our total cost of youth bats produced and sold in this quarter is $21,320. Our adult bats, we think we're going to sell 3,400. That's our budget. Of those, 440 were in beginning inventory. So we think we're going to produce and sell 2,960 adult bats during this quarter, and those bats cost us $37.60 a piece to make. So multiply that by 37.60. That's 111,296. Our total will be 111,296 plus 21,320, or 132,616. And then we add them all up. So our youth bats were 12,350 plus 21,320 is 33,670. Our adult bats plus 111,296. It's 122,346. And then our total is 122,346 plus 33,670, or 156,016. Oops. So one or more of your beginning inventory amounts you have entered are incorrect. So let me figure out what I did wrong. So my beginning inventory were 650 bats at 19 each for the youth, 12,350, and 440 adult bats at 17 each. Is that right? Yeah. Oops, 7,480. I must have typed that in wrong. Let me double check that one more time. So 440 times 17, 7,480 plus 12,350 gives me a new total of 19,830. This should still be the same. Let me add up adult bat total of 7,480 plus 118,776. And then my total let's see if that got it. Got it. So again, I just made an arithmetic error up there on the adult bats. All right, we're getting close. Almost done. So finally, our selling and administrative expense budget. This one's pretty easy because it kind of gives us all the info here. So our fixed selling and administrative expenses include 12,000 for salaries. So I'll just do salaries expense. Again, these would be non-manufacturing salaries, selling and admin salaries. 5,500 for rent. 2,000 for insurance. And 150 for depreciation. And then a variable selling and administrative expense for supplies at 5% of sales. So there's supplies expense. We'll have to roll all the way up here to the sales budget. And remember that our total sales are budgeted at 333,000. Multiply that by 5% or 0.05. And that means we think we're going to have a supplies expense of about 16,650. I add them all up, and that's my budget for selling and admin expense. 36,300. And if that's right, it is, then that's it. We're done. So hopefully that wasn't too bad. Like I said, there's just some of the things that it's like hard to guess exactly what they want, but once you do it, they make sense. So I hope this helps, and I hope you have a great day.